What if we went on a journey to a continent everyone knows, yet remains so mysterious? This continent, you carry it with you every day. It's your skin. In Planet Skin, presented by Codif Technologies Naturelles, we will navigate through the different landscapes of our skin. We will meet the local populations and try to understand their interactions with each other and the outside world. We will dive into the heart of its ecosystem and retrace its history through the ages. My name is Marjorie Murphy, and I will be your guide on this journey created by Cécile Coumeau.
The skin is the site of all our fantasies.
It's time to embark on a new chapter of our travel guide dedicated to Planet Skin. After the geographical and historical aspects and meeting the local populations, I suggest we look at this planet from another angle: communication. Strange, you might say. Not so much. The skin is an entire ecosystem that undergoes influences, pressures, and must communicate, even negotiate, with external actors. With Sylvie Consoli, dermatologist and psychoanalyst, as well as Pierre-Yves Morvan, biochemist and director of research and development at Codif, we will decipher the language of the skin. Let's go. Let's get back on board our small tourist plane. Planet Skin stretches out beneath our feet. If I suggest we gain altitude again, it's because before translating this language of the skin, we need to know even better who we are dealing with. Who is this extraordinary political animal? What is its true nature?
Some skin types will be oilier than others.
Pierre-Yves Morvan.
Ça veut dire qu'il y a certainement une production de This means that there is certainly a high production of lipids through specialized cells called sebocytes. Other skins will be drier, so they will have a lower lipid production than the former. In the vast majority, there is an intermediate skin, a combination skin that is neither dry nor particularly oily. But it's worth knowing that these different skin types can even be found on a single individual, because often we identify our skin by these three characteristics: dry skin, oily skin, combination skin, but in fact we have areas on our skin that can be more or less oily, more or less dry.
Peut-être plus ou moins grasse, plus ou moins sèche.
You see, this partly shiny area here is the famous T-zone of the face. It's full of sebocytes, nothing abnormal. But here, on the other hand, what's happening? We observe redness, pimples. We are facing another type of skin, hypersensitive skin.
La peau hypersensible, c'est assez compliqué à définir. En fait,
Hypersensitive skin is quite difficult to define because it depends both on a personal evaluation of each individual who considers whether they have sensitive skin or not. It is also defined by biological characteristics. Is there really hypersensitivity? And often, more people claim to have sensitive skin than there are actually hypersensitive skins. There are tests that allow us to assess very clearly whether skin is more sensitive than average or not. This test is quite well known to cosmetologists. It involves applying a solution of lactic acid to the ala, or wing, of the nose and seeing how the person reacts. Like if you were to put a little vinegar on the skin, we will have a more or less clear reaction from individuals.
Si vous voulez, sur la peau, on va avoir une réaction plus ou moins nette des individus.
Now, when the sensitivity doesn't overflow, it's an asset. Capturing signals from the outside or sending them, it's essential for an organ like the skin. If you look closely at this immense tissue, you see that it is on the border, at the limits of the individual and the collective.
I think this organ indeed is at the forefront of the subject.
Sylvie Consoli.
And so it interacts really well with the environment, with other individuals, since they are part of the environment. It does this primarily through touch, a tactile sense. The entire skin of the body interacts with the environment it touches. And while it touches, it is also touched. It's a reflexive sense.
C'est un sens réflexif.
Beyond touch, the skin has many other powers. Powers that you don't suspect and were unknown not long ago. Listen carefully. You will no longer see your skin as before.
Alors la peau, curieusement, exprime
So,
aussi des
curiously,
récepteurs
the skin also expresses some more unexpected receptors, not just receptors to the environment, but also receptors to taste, some bitter substances, for example. The skin reacts to certain substances that will stimulate bitterness receptors. Now that's a surprising discovery because we thought we only had these types of receptors on the tongue, of course. Yet we have them on most of our skin cells. The skin can also be sensitive to sound. In fact, it reacts to wavelengths, to vibrations. So the environment communicates with us through these receptors that can be found in our skin.
par l'intermédiaire de ces récepteurs qu'on peut trouver dans notre peau.
And you haven't reached the end of your surprises yet. The skin is also capable of smelling, so to speak, of sensing its environment. Electromagnetic waves don't leave planet skin unresponsive either. At high levels of exposure, our skin reacts with redness or even tingling. In short, no information escapes your body's outer covering. This border organ monitors everything, like a true sentry. But it doesn't just intercept information, it also sends it. As a savvy political animal, it obviously engages in communication. On planet skin, image is not just a trivial matter.
La
The
peau,
skin,
Sylvie Consoli.
elle est vue.
it is seen by others, it is seen by oneself. And then, the skin is the site of all our fantasies. We also imagine it in a certain way. We would like it in a certain way, etc.
D'une certaine façon, etc.
Some of us have decided to play with this communication capacity of the skin. They entrusted their skin to a tattoo artist whose needle pierced the dermis. Their epidermis becomes a canvas, a tableau, where they can express themselves freely.
La peau,
This skin modification, if you will, is sometimes a way to bridge the external communication limits of the skin, which may be thought of as unreliable. So we can easily add a second skin of messages, signs, or drawings to one's primitive skin because it may be perceived as fragile or not representative enough of one's inner psychic space.
espace psychique intérieur.
But this double skin doesn't hide everything. Our epidermis sometimes changes color, and the sun's rays have nothing to do with it.
Si on
If we
reçoit
receive an emotion,
Pierre-Yves Morvan.
qu'elles viennent de l'extérieur, on peut imaginer une personne
coming from the outside, our skin reacts. We can imagine a person being interviewed, not at ease, experiencing stress. This nervous stress will result in the release of neuropeptides, substances that are carried by our bloodstream. When they reach our skin cells, they will react and produce, for example, vasodilation at the level of our microvessels in the skin, resulting in redness.
aussi une vasodilatation au niveau de nos micro-vaisseaux dans la peau, et ça va se traduire par une rougeur au niveau cutané.
Yes, when you're feeling something strongly, what happens inside you, in your head, in your gut, is reflected on your skin. Your emotions are visible to the naked eye. When it's impossible to put words to what you're feeling, your epidermis becomes the messenger, and it can be very talkative.
La peau peut traduire beaucoup d'émotions, je dirais.
The skin can express a lot of emotions. Actually, emotions are expressed at the level of the skin. For example, through sweating, or sudden paleness, or the urge to scratch an itch. And emotions are addressed, in these cases, to others as well. We are overwhelmed by our emotions, but they express themselves on the bodily level and are communicated to
Elles
others.
s'expriment sur le champ corporel et sont adressées à l'autre.
Thanks to its sensitivity, the skin excels in communication. However, this doesn't prevent some mistakes. Shy people will tell you they would like their skin to stop blushing, to be a little less talkative.
La peau nous trahit, en effet.
The skin indeed betrays us. And thus, we can feel that our bodily and psychic limits are not reliable, that we are continually threatened by the outside, being judged, and also by the inside, by what we feel and experience. This is particularly true in adolescence, where, for example, signs of approaching and settling puberty are mainly visible on the skin through hair growth, slightly oily skin, etc.
Bouche, la peau un peu plus grasse, etc.
You've understood. Planet Skin is a real sponge. It absorbs, and sometimes it overflows.
Il y a aussi inscrit dans la peau
There are also invisible traces inscribed in the skin, invisible memories. For example, of incestuous caresses or things like that. I think that indeed some traumas, even if they do not have visible traces like physical scars, may still be recalled through the skin, for example, by touch of the traumatized area.
traumatisée.
It's fair to say that walking on planet Skin requires a lot of delicacy. I would even say tact, a term that comes from the Latin tactus, meaning touch. You don't land on this surface with heavy boots, because touch triggers multiple sensations.
Ces sensations, ces sentiments
These sensations, these feelings must be contained. We must not be overwhelmed by our sensations and feelings, and that's why touch is codified. We don't touch others any old way, in any condition. It's coded according to age, according to the situation. For example, when dancing with someone, we don't dance the waltz or the polka in the same way. It's important to teach a young child that when they are with adults or with other children, there are certain areas of their body that are private to them and should not be touched by others.
ne doivent pas être touchés par l'autre.
If touch can be experienced as an intrusion, it remains vital. Deprive skin of contact, of caresses, and the entire organism is in danger. That's why, in the first hours of our life, we practice skin-to-skin contact.
On a été particulièrement attentif à ces
We have been
échanges.
particularly attentive to these tactile exchanges for a very long time, especially since the moment we realized that when we hospitalized children, we could take care of them very well, feed them, change them, but without any significant tactile exchanges, they could waste away. It was called hospitalism. They could even die from it.
Même en mourir. Le petit bébé
The little baby needs tactile exchanges to live in the strict sense of the term, and also to develop. It is in the physical touch with the mother that sensory awakening, tenderness, sexuality, and language acquisition will develop.
et l'acquisition du langage.
With age, the need for touch and to be touched does not diminish. Quite the opposite. Our skin has a memory. A simple caress can awaken a memory and reconnect us to life. We still have one more stop on our journey. Up next, we look at the troubling question of how planet skin changes and transforms over the years. Find our podcast Planet Skin on all listening platforms, on YouTube, and on the website codif-tn.com.